Welcome to Happily Ever After, the podcast where we talk about life's big stories. From breakups and breakdowns to icky secrets and happy endings, it's the stuff that makes us human. I'm your host, Hannah Harvey. I'm a writer and a parenting blogger at mumsdays.com. That's mumsdays.com. I'd be really grateful if you could subscribe and leave a review because it basically means more people can find the podcast. And I also really love hearing from you, so please do contact me through Instagram at mumsdays with any of your stories really and you know how you relate to the episode or even questions that you may want answering. You can find all the details from this episode in the show notes. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Happily Ever After. It's me, Hannah, and today I'm joined by my lovely Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hi, good morning. A good summery morning as well this morning. Thank goodness summer's returned.
I know. I can't tell because I'm sat in the studio and it's like a little cupboard, but equally I was in the sun this morning because I saw the sunrise.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Northeast coast forever. Love it.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's getting a bit later, so I think it didn't come up till 5:15, so it felt like that extra 15 minutes was quite spacious.
Yes, 15 minutes. That's so nice.
Oh, so Claire Venus was on the podcast a few weeks ago, and we were catching up on our entire lives because we'd never met before. But you were sharing things about like how you met your husband and your kind of manifesting journey and all of the interesting, like millions of different projects that you work on.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought it'd be fun to reconnect because like we have never stopped being in touch ever since. But just I know you've got a whole bunch of new projects going on, but you're also managing like the summer holidays.
Yeah, we're definitely, it's that juggle space, isn't it? And I had a really clear intent for the summer and the balance of it all. And it all went out the window because I missed one of my own deadlines. The kids were both ill on the last week of term. They had a really nasty virus. So like missed days of nursery and school. And then it just all spilled into summer. So it feels like even 9 summers into being a mum, I'm still like doing this thing of going, yes, we're on track. It's all going to work. And then it's still slightly chaotic and slightly, there's opportunities like there is with all seasons in your business, but it's made me kind of go, okay, every week's a new week. Like today's Monday, what's happening this week, rather than think it's all ruined and I need to start again next year. So yeah, very much leading with that intent. What's happening this week? What are we doing when? How can I fit in grocery shops? All that sort of mum stuff.
Yeah. So in my head, when we were starting the summer, I was like, right, Claire's got the whole summer off. Was that your intention?
Yeah,
Because
so it was
super busy.
Yeah, so it was my intention to have the whole summer off, but I booked, I think it was 6 days of nursery and holiday club for the kids. So me and Dave could go to the spa, we could have some writing time together. Like I don't necessarily class writing as work because it's just like my heart-centered path. I just like love to show up and write. So I was like, I'll do some writing, I'll sort the house out, all of that sort of thing. And then I just had this calling really to take up more space following a call with an amazing coach who I know you know. And I was like, oh, wait, like putting everything down is not what I need to do right now in this season because I'm such a summer baby. Like I was born in August. So every summer, basically like, in the lead up to solstice, I'm full of energy. And after solstice, I'm full of energy up until about sort of October time. And then I just kind of go very wintry and hibernatory and all of that sort of stuff. So I just had this calling to set up this new space on Substack and to make more space, more expansion for what I was talking about and teaching about on there. So I kind of jumped into that. And it was a bit of a thrill, to be honest, because I was breaking all of my own rules. But when you feel so aligned to do something, none of that matters. You're like, okay, I've got to do this. I'll find a way. So it was like the early mornings and weaving it all in. And Dave, my husband, being an amazing cheerleader for all that. And I actually have outsourced some stuff for the first time. So I was working on a big funding deadline for the end of the school term. I missed it because of the kids being ill, but I also got some amazing feedback from a professional fundraiser that does it full time. I only do it part time. And I was like, have you got time to finish this for me? Because I just feel like it's so heavy and weighty. And I just want to be light and free and, like be out with the kids and like pick the last of the raspberries and like notice what's going on in the garden, So I just had to rejig things really and like say outsource and be okay with that and feel held by that decision,
Mm-hmm. Are we allowed to talk about who you spoke to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Good.
it's interesting, isn't it? Because there was, when we were first getting to know each other after the last podcast, there was this affiliate competition going on with a coach that we both love, an Australian person called Leonie Dawson. They are absolutely amazing. They're an illustrator. They've made kind of millions of pounds in this gorgeous, spacious business that they run around homeschool and chronic health and all this sort of stuff. They're just a real character. And yeah, so I jumped into their business school for a year, and I said about it to you, Dana, Hannah, and like a few other people. I was talking
Yes,
about
I've
it
joined.
online.
But I'd
And so,
already done a whole bunch of their online programs. So
yes,
particularly
yeah,
things like the things that are sticking out to me about the fact that you went on this call with her and you had one intention and then you went on with her and it was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to act on
yeah,
this. Leonie's got one of their online courses. It's like super short, but it's all about like just getting stuck in when you've got momentum.
yeah,
So if you had that call with Leonie, got all excited and then put it down, for the summer because that was your
yeah,
intention, you wouldn't
yeah,
have
yeah,
then
yeah.
done half of the stuff that you needed to do. Like you have to
No.
sometimes just ride the fucking wave when you've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
that
yeah.
like drive.
Yeah. And I definitely wasn't showing up for myself. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was playing really small. And I could feel that, and when I spoke to them, I was like, oh, okay, this is where I'm tripping myself up. I could see that. So I won the affiliate competition, which enabled me to have this call with Leonie. And Hannah was the last person to buy her through my affiliate link for the business school, which must have tipped me into the like prize
And
slot.
do you
So then
know
there were
what?
all of these like ping, ping, ping,
That
pings.
happened. I woke up and I was in the middle of the night and was like, I've forgotten something. What is it if I've forgotten? So I clicked on my phone, saw Leonie's link, and I was like, that's it. That's what I need to do. And I went on and I literally signed up with 30 seconds to go.
Incredible.
So that's weird alignment for sure.
Absolutely incredible. And you said that to me, didn't you? And then now you can check the names of the people who bought through your affiliate on the dashboard. And obviously it's not, doesn't give like the full names, whatever name they've signed up with. And there's your name as like the last name. And I was like, oh, that is so bonkers. So yes, so I won this call, and Leonie only accepts coaching calls at 4 a.m. our time or 9:30 p.m. our time. So I had a choice, right? So it's either try and like sneak out of the bedroom while Luna's asleep in the morning or do the same in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, like my brain isn't as on fire in the evenings. I don't feel I'm very articulate. Like I just feel very like, okay, I'm done for the day. Like I'm
Oh,
productive
past
during the day.
7
And then,
p.m., I'm
yeah,
like, I'm done.
yeah,
I am
it's it.
done.
That's it. Yeah, and it's enough decision making, like all of that stuff, the mental load of motherhood and all of the things. And I was like, okay, so it's the 4 a.m. That's fine. That's clear. But then that was the week the kids got the virus. So
Yes.
I sort of tiptoed out of the bedroom like about 3:15, just started my morning routine like I ordinarily would, like getting a coffee, putting the fairy lights on. And then Luna started screaming. And I was like, oh no. So went back in, settled her down. Her dad had got into bed with her, so she felt really secure. Tiptoed out again, and then literally 20 to 4 screaming again. And me and David already talked about what if this happens, because she's such a little wild woman. You need like a backup plan and then another backup plan after that.
Yeah.
So he'd already said, look, I'll put her in the car, I'll take her to the beach. So literally 2 minutes to 4, by the time I got her sort of dressed and sorted and tried to get him a cup of tea, so at least he had something. 2 minutes to 4, the car pulled off the drive. Off they went down to the beach, which is like 10-minute drive from us. That's fine. I mean, slightly bonkers, but the sun was coming up.
Well,
It was like
exactly.
middle of the night, sort of, but sunrise-ish.
Yeah.
And then I sat back down to my laptop, turned on Zoom, went online at 1 minute past 4, and I was like, oh, I feel off like 1 minute late for Leonie. And then obviously got a sight of myself sort of just like in my pajamas. I'd pulled the cat. I hadn't thought about like what to wear or anything because I was just having like a lovely coaching call at like 4
Leonie
a.m.
wouldn't care.
She didn't care. But you know, when you just like, oh hi Claire.
I'm here. I've made it. Please give me a medal.
That's what it was like. So that was our first meeting. But obviously,
Wow.
it's weird online, isn't it? Because I feel like I know them, I know her really, really well. And I don't, you know, I know what is presented in the calls, how she shows up, you know, our teachings, all that. But I felt like I was speaking to somebody that I knew. And it was really quickly clear this was new, like this is a new relationship, right? So
Yeah.
I always find that so interesting, you know, when you feel like you've got to know someone online and then you're like, oh no, here they are, like this is us, like looking at each other, like connecting. So yes, it was lovely. Like I don't feel like there's loads in there where you think afterwards, you know, because at the end she's like, have you got any questions for me? And I sort of had one, but I was like, you're so generous in everything that you share. I feel like I'm just working through, like you, like I've had a couple of courses, I've worked through them, I've ticked things off, I've like stalled a bit, you know, and gone back to them. And I feel afterwards, of course, I've got loads more questions, but it's hard in the moment, isn't it? Especially when you're sort of processing information at 4 a.m. and your nervous system's had a bit of a shock. So, yeah, but I mean, it was brilliant. I'm so, so grateful. And then literally as I ended the call, a link to book podcast sessions with her came through, and so I just jumped straight on, and so like booked a podcast session which we did together last week. So that was like a massive up level. Like even 6 months ago there's no way I would have clicked that link, you know. I would have been like, oh no, that's not for me, like I won't be doing that. And I just thought, no, I am.
I really need to join the affiliate for some of these people because I love them so much. It's like, why would I not?
It's so easy to do. Yeah, it's really worth it as well because she's so generous with the affiliate. So it's 50%, right? So a payment of £500 went into my PayPal for sharing my affiliate link twice. And then obviously I won the competition as well. So I won this coaching call
Which
with
is
them.
worth
And
like
then
£1,000 plus.
Right. And she doesn't even offer coaching sessions.
No.
So it's like money can't even buy that. Like it was just the most incredible run of events. And I'm so grateful to you for pressing that button because I was in second place before that, right? And they kept emailing saying, oh, you know, Venus, because
Venus,
my last name.
you're like,
Venus.
yes, darling.
I didn't know it was me. And I was like, wait, it's Venus me. Like, I'm Venus. Is that me? Like, you know, because you just think this person has tens of thousands of people that they plug into. That can't possibly be me. And then I think about 5 emails in, I was like, I better check. And it was me. So yeah,
I'm still waiting
amazing.
for my other gift that you promised me.
Oh yes, I know. Which that was second place, so we haven't got it, Hannah. What are we gonna do? Well, I Google it now and see where you get such a thing.
Am I allowed to say what it was you were going to send me?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So apparently second prize for affiliates was a crystal dildo. And Claire was like, if I get it, it's yours. And I'm like, okay, thank you. That's the main reason I woke up at 2 a.m.
I think,
like, what have I forgotten? Crystal dildo!
Going through the post. I think it was rose quartz. I might have made that up, but I feel like it was a
very fancy.
Sounds very beautiful, doesn't it? A beautiful object, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So funny. Yeah. Oh. So that's been happening. And then obviously there's a whole load of spill out and kind of taking up space in our queen energy, which we talk about a lot. And then that has meant that I have built this whole new space to take up space, which has felt less terrifying than anything I've ever done, more aligned than anything I've ever done, but still has come with some issues and problems. So, you know, you kind of realize in taking up space, sometimes people don't like that. You know, that's part of it, isn't it? And that's probably what I've been frightened of and probably what I've been holding back from.
Or that's what you're afraid, that people aren't going to like it when actually probably they're like, oh, great, Claire's shown up to show us how to do it. Tell us what it is you're doing. It's something to do with Substack.
Yeah, so on my Substack, I originally joined Substack to talk about everything that was going on behind the scenes with Dave's health. So my husband had long COVID, but he was sick before he got COVID. So there was this whole catalogue of things that was going on following the trajectory of my daughter's birth, because I had COVID and he had COVID the week she was due. So gave birth to her alone. And then this kind of whole spiritual awakening happened because we were just plunged into the dark, you know? So we were like, okay, like, this is really difficult. We were censored on social media, so you couldn't use the word COVID. Like, it just wouldn't be shown to your people, or it would be taken down from Instagram stories. So there was this really kind of weird space of like, I need to speak about this, but my friends are sick of hearing about it, really. You know, we've all got our own lives and we've all got our own things going on. And I just needed a space to kind of go, this is really intense. And there was like a writery voice, like there was a poetic beauty in what I wanted to say, I felt. So I thought, right, I'll just do that on Substack. And nobody knew me over there. So it was really just me having a container to write. And then as I spent less time on social media and more time on Substack, which is like, if you're not familiar, it's like a blog mailing list hybrid. And I'd always had this idea of building up more people on my mailing list, but I'd never really succeeded. I think I had about 300 people on my MailChimp mailing list, and I emailed them every month, and it was gorgeous. But Substack was this other opportunity to build connection and a social network at the same time as building your email address and your email addresses up. So it was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. That's a nice part of it. I wonder how that works. And so over the last sort of 15, 16 months, I've been experimenting with different types of content. So I do content for paid subscribers, which is like behind the scenes of my business and kind of more personal stuff. And then I've been showing up and sharing Substack tips just as I learnt them. I realized that people were like, oh, I don't really get how you do this, and I'm not sure about this, and can I do this? So it was part about taking up space, which was the journey that I was on, part about staying creative and using it in a new way. So throwing away the social media rule book and just showing up and using it as a blog if you wanted to, as a mailing list tool if you wanted to, just whatever you wanted. And there's video and podcast on there as well. And then it was part about, okay, like if I can blend, and this is what I struggle with as a multi-hyphenate, if I could blend what I do professionally with what I'm really enjoying through my own kind of creative strand, like what would that look like? And so that's what the Substack space ended up being, the teaching space. So I sent an email every week called Stay Creative on Substack, unpacked some tips, shared some other Substackers that were doing beautiful things. And then in the call with Leonie, they were like, wait, this you sound really into this. I was like, I'm so into it. People can just take up so much more space on the internet. Instagram has an algorithm there. Lots of spaces have an algorithm. There's no algorithm on Substack. So it means people see that content, people sign up to them. That feels really nice. There's just so much generosity there. So yeah, a few questions later, and I realized like I was one of the only people teaching about Substack on Substack at that time. And I was definitely the only person saying it's for creatives as well as writers. So this imposter syndrome that was showing up around, no, wait, isn't it just for writers here? Well, that's how it started. But now there are people who can write and want to, you know, enhance their writing craft, that are reading here, that are creating here, that are podcasting here, that have things to say. And so it was really my permission slip back to the entire internet to say, you know, you can do this. Like, I'm doing it, and I'm not a writer. Like, I can write, but that's not my profession. You know, I haven't published books in that way. So that was really well received. And then I set up Sparkle on Substack, it's called, which it was really obvious what to call it. You know, after the call again, I was like, what? Oh, okay. Like, I'm allowed to say that. At first I was like, wait, people will be confused. They'll be like, what does she mean? And then I just thought, well, they'll only be confused for a minute, and then they'll be in the inner fold reading all this stuff, and they'll know exactly what I mean by Sparkle on Substack. And it's about taking up space and taking up our space in magic and creativity, and at this time in our lives when this opportunity exists away from an algorithm, really.
And you're going to have a podcast and just all sorts of great stuff.
Yeah, so I'll do, the cadence has been working well with the Friday emails. So I'll do the Friday emails. I've got my members, so they pay for a little bit more. So we do co-working together, and I do like sharing around how they can get the most from the platform. So I'll do like screen shares with them, and I'll do audits for them. And then we have like a little chat group that I'm on 4 days a week, so they can ask questions about Substack and like how to do things. So I've got them set up already, and that's been going well. And then the podcast, yeah. So Leonie is the second podcast in line. I did a little introduction, and then I've got one episode to record that's just a solo episode, and then Leonie's episode will come out. And we just talk about taking up space online. They don't use Substack, but it doesn't matter. Like, they are an amazing example of taking up space. And even that congruence when I jumped on the call and said, do you want me to run through the questions I was going to ask? No. just press record. I'm all good. I was like, all right, yeah, it's fine. And there were so many beautiful shares. Yeah, there were so many beautiful shares like that, where you realize Leonie does not second guess herself. Like, it's just none of that. Like, and I can learn a lot from that. Like, I'll never be Leonie, and I don't need to be, but I think there's a craft in just being able to go, whatever I'm being guided to share is already enough. I don't have to like overthink it or sit on it for days on end. Like, I can just be called to show up, write something, post it, and then that's that. I don't know if that like connects with how you work, Hannah, in your process.
Oh, it's the only way I want to work.
Yeah.
Like, if I could just be paid to turn up and give my opinion on things, tell some stupid stories.
You heard it right here.
All over it.
Someone will pay you for that. Surely someone will pay you for that. You've got loads to say. Yeah.
We need that on the vision board. That I really need. This is the thing about Substack that I love, which the thing that puts me off is that I've already invested in something else. And I think having had a little sneak peek of what Leonie has to say is that she's already got the blog and she's got the behind the scenes. So I'm like, I love the idea of Substack from the idea of it being a better version of Instagram. But what I think is the best thing about Substack is it's completely accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
So friends of mine who have maybe lost a child or a husband or are going through recovery or all of these different things that they're trying to share to help them process what they're going through, that's like an amazing place to do it, isn't it?
I think so. And also your audience like come with you. So I feel like on Instagram, when I pivoted away from all of the creativity island for mum stuff in the pandemic, like I lost a lot of people. So that for me, that was always a project, right? It was a time limited project, but I think that's hard for people because they've come on that journey with you. And then obviously Luna grew up, the project finished, and I was doing other things, and there was like a disconnect. So I've been really careful on Substack to be like, I do this, but then I've also got this to share. And I think that it's working, you know, it's a more spacious place to do that. And with the podcast element of it, I just do voice notes, so I don't have them professionally produced or anything, but they were getting a lot of downloads. So rather than looking for comments or likes or anything, I just was looking at those downloads and going, oh, okay, people are listening, like people are curious to listen. And that again felt really nice because on Instagram stories, my views had gone right down. Like there used to be, 200-300 from my like 3,000 followers on there. And then they went down to like 40, 50, and you're going, well, then it's gone. Like I've said what I wanted to say and I've taken up time to do it, and then it's gone. So I think with Substack, it feels more evergreen, and it feels like you can just craft what you want to say in the time that you want to say it, and then take your audience along with you.
Oh, I'm always a bit like, oh, do I do it? Do I jump in?
I know.
I have set one up since we last spoke.
And I think, there's so many ways with it. So the mentor that I'm going to chat with, who works with professional writers, she reached out and she was like, I love what you're doing with Sparkle on Substack. Can we chat? And I was like, we absolutely can chat. And I'm going to book a call with you, like pay her for a call. She helps people serialize their novels or fiction books. And there's a whole host of writers who she helps that are doing incredible things around serialization. So taking the audience on a journey either in front of or behind the paywall, and then at the end they get to like have the novel somehow. So that would be either sent in the post and they'd already paid for it through paid subscriptions, or they get like a preview of it, like a print proof. There's all of these really cool ways that she's been helping writers with that, and that's a whole other world that I didn't know about. And I think with writers, there's a whole load of honesty around how it works, how the publishing industry works on Substack, which was a lot of the first stuff that I followed. So people talking about the money side of it, the process, how it feels to have a book out in the world, how they feel around that like writer, agent, publisher relationship. And that was what I was really curious about, not necessarily for now, but just because I've self-published 2 books, right? So I've self-published 2 well-being and creativity journals, and that felt really right to do. But I've always been curious around, well, maybe after I get to the 5th one, this is something that I want to pitch to publishers, and how does that work? And is it more of a stationary thing? So that's my curiosity, and I'm really enjoying reading about it all. I mean, who knows where it'll go?
Well, speaking of journals, the other thing I thought we could kind of end on is, because we're moving from summer holidays, and all the difference in pace of life, and then back into like that. Do you remember when you used to go and get a new notebook and a new pencil case, and just that new year vibe of going back to school?
So nice.
But it's also quite daunting. It's like, oh God, right. September to December, what am I going to do with my life? How am I going to make it really count? And I just thought you would be the perfect person to maybe give us some advice about how to sort of approach kids going back to school and getting back into routines. And if you've got any little journal prompts.
And I love that intent around that fresh page, like that invitation to a fresh new page, whether it's in January or September or whenever you choose to do it. And with my clients, we always do this thing around chapters of the year. So January to March would be a chapter, and then we go on like that in 3-month blocks. So this September through to sort of December is like that slightly longer chapter for me, because we know December's going to come and Christmas is going to have its own energy. So it's like, okay, so September, October, November, what does that look like? Yeah, it's sort of separate, isn't it? And I think for me, because Luna's birthday is in December, I'd already made that decision. I'm going to celebrate it with her a month earlier, because it's just so intense, isn't it? We know it's going to be like that. So however you organize Christmas, it's like you need to just clock it's there, because it's either going to sneak up on you, or you're one of these that gets everything like sorted and wrapped by the 1st of November or whatever.
People I've got do a friend who's wrapped already.
Oh wow!
Bought and wrapped. Yeah, she helps me wrap my presents. That's one of the things I outsource.
Does she love wrapping presents?
She loves it, but she, you know, it's like just a bit of extra income. Last year, she'd had a knee replacement, so she couldn't do her usual work, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to gift wrap," and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is a gift to myself." So it meant by the 1st of December, I'd got everything, given it to her, and she'd wrapped it all for me.
Yeah,
it's like the most organised I've ever been.
Wow, that must have felt really nice.
It was really like
and also quite a nice surprise for you. Like, you know, when you see people open them, you're like, what's that again?
What did you get?
Just forget.
No, I took photos.
Oh, good. Yeah. So aside from Christmassy stuff, I think that energy of autumn, especially here in the UK, it is such a beautiful energy around everything turning inwards and the colours changing. And we're invited to get our wellies on and go out for walks in the woods and just soak up that last bit of energy that from the sunlight that we get before it goes dark. And I think that there are loads of different ways to approach it. I think that for me, and Hannah knows this, like I love a big A3 sheet of paper. So taking up space, again, that theme of taking up space, and getting an A3 pad just from like WH Smith's or Wilko's or somewhere, and just get out some felt tips from the kids or some Sharpies or whatever you've got, and just have a little think about, okay, like what for September to feel really good to me as a mum, what do I need to put in place? So maybe that's some more solo days, some solace, a spa days, like, you know, listing all of the kind of obvious big things, but maybe there's something every day that you can just do, like a little ritual for yourself, because it is very intense. Like my son will have a massive wobble the first couple of weeks of term. I'll be in tears, he'll be in tears. I know that. So there's no good me planning, right, when they get back to school, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I could potentially, but I also need to make space for some big emotions in the family. So I'll be breaking it up like that for September and just making more space for what everybody needs, because I think when we do that, it all goes a little bit better. Like, so we do this Sunday check-in as a family, like what's everyone got on this week? What does everybody need more of? And it's such a simple invitation, but it always works. And I always need more alone time. Always, always. That's what I need more than anything. And I don't think I would have had that before the kids. I just, I was very much a people person. I like to be around people a lot. And now I really like my own company.
It's a very different energy. Being
Yeah.
around people is different to being around your children who physically want to be touching you. And
Yeah.
like one will want your attention, and as soon as it's that one has got it, the other one can sixth sense. They are like, they're in another room. Hang on, she's talking to my brother. I must go in there and make sure she talks to me.
Yeah. And I think because Luna's got such a lot to say now, and my son, like, it's different with my son. Like, he is very independent, but he's still little, they're just little. So I guess making space for that and everything that they need. So I did the school uniform shop before the summer holidays. So everybody's sorted for that, just because, Marks and Spencer's have that like deal on, and it's in all the supermarkets. And I learned this from other mums. I think, there's this like amazing mum wealth of wisdom that actually we think we need to know it all and learn it all. But if you ask, like, how do you manage that and how do you organize that? Like, people are really happy to help, aren't they? So I learned that tip, and it really helps me that everything's just there and sorted uniform wise. And then I think embracing the rest of the summer and then just taking up more space around what everybody needs so that the family dynamic works and, we're not thrown into chaos and stuff. And I think for me, it's quite open work-wise. Like, I had a real strong plan for the first part of the year, and then I wanted to have this spacious summer. And then I'm really open to see what spacious summer plugs into autumn. So we'll see. Watch this space, eh?
Well, you created the space for summer, and it immediately got filled with Leonie and Substack, Sparkle on Substack. And so it just goes to show that if you actually plan to have space, the chances are it'll get filled with something really fucking cool.
I love that. And I think there's still always work to do around when you say yes and when you pause on things. Like, we organized this relatively last minute, didn't we? But for me, it was like, I absolutely want to talk to Hannah on the podcast. Like, that would be so glorious to do. So just a quick ask of the husband, and then here we are, and it's been so nice.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Claire. I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
As always, I'll be able to go away and process again. I think last time it took me nearly like the whole day after we spoke to be like,
I don't think it'll be. I just feel like we were meant to meet at that time, right? Like,
we
it was
really
just
were.
That was it for us, like, in terms of your connection with the ocean and everything else that was going on behind the scenes. And then where like the Queen stuff, where it was like, oh wait, like, are we doing this together? Let's do this together.
Lush. Well, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. See you next time.
Bye-bye. All right then, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you again next time for another episode of Happily Ever After with me, Hannah. It would be amazing if you could leave a review and subscribe. And of course, if you've got a friend who might enjoy this episode, please do pass it on. For anything else, you can get in touch with me through Instagram at mumsdays or by my website, mumsdays.com. And did you know that I've got a newsletter? So it's the best way to stay in touch and to make sure you don't miss any podcasts or any freebies or competitions that we're running. And again, you can sign up to that through the website.